Welcome back to the Gala Performance MR2 Championship. Now this part of the season marks a very important milestone in the championship history. It's been 10 years since its conception and it all started here at the home of British motorsport, Silverstone. Now there's just been a torrential downpour, the track is greasy, it should be interesting, but a person who's won the championship twice is Sean Trainer. Sean, double champion. You know what it's like to win. It all started here 10 years ago at Silverstone. You're starting first on the grid. Where can you go from there? Ben Rose leading the championship. It's going to be a tricky one.
Yeah, it is. It's conditions are going to be different to what we had in quali, so hopefully everyone sort of tiptoes around a little bit in the first few laps and we don't end up with a bit of a mess on the first corner. But we tested here Friday and Hangar Straight was holding a lot of water, so hopefully we don't get that much water because we were sort of aquaplaning on the straight, which it wasn't fun for anyone. So, I mean, I like a bit of rain, but not quite that much.
And you've won it twice. You've seen the championship evolve from strength to strength. How proud are you to be part of it?
It's brilliant. Like, I've never raced in anything else, so it's I haven't really got anything to compare it against, but I'm not looking at going anywhere else. So I think that speaks for itself.
Is there a win on the cards for you here?
I'm hoping, that's the plan. It just depends on the start. As long as we can sort of get enough grip off the start, then I think I've got the pace. So, but I'll let you know after this one.
Good luck.
All right, cheers.
Cheers. So with that, let's see how Sean gets on. I'll hand you over to our race commentator, Andy McEwen.
Thanks, Anthony. Well, this should be very entertaining indeed. A greasy track, but lots of places to overtake for the MR2s, who are headed by Sean Trainer and Ben Rowe on row 1. The top two in the championship ahead of Stuart Nichols and Darren Aldworth, Tim Herron and Josh Brooks, with Mick Nichols, Peter Higton, Paul Cook and Jim Davis, all potential front runners, rounding out the top 10. It is a mammoth 39-car grid, but because of the slightly larger capacity for the grid here at Silverstone, there is no need to split the grid, so we just have two straight-up races, everyone on track at once. This could get very, very busy indeed. So Sean Trainer then took the pole position by by 1/10 of a second, excuse me, over his championship rival Ben Rowe. Ben is 36 points ahead of him in the championship. Will that be the same after this race? Well, let's find out, because the lights go out. We're away and racing at Silverstone. We're on board with Paul Cook looking backwards. Now we're on board with Paul Cook looking forwards. Car number 26 as they rush towards turn number 1, but it's Trainer that leads the way. Rose second. Stuart Nichols looks to have slotted through into third, so same as you were on the grid up at the front of the field. Some of the Mark 1 cars going through, back up towards the top of the hill we go up at Village. Hard on the brakes now. Josh Brooks there, the grey and pink car, trying to go around the outside. And remember, in the damp and greasy conditions, the wet line, the grippy line in the wet, is often right around the edge of the track, not on the traditional sort of apexes of the corners where you'd usually see the drivers run. And you can see there a few drivers getting out of shape. That's very sideways indeed, right in front of Paul Cook. That was the number 5 car getting out of shape, as that was Tim Herron, who got his first ever win in the championship back at Mallory Park earlier on this season. On board with Mick Nichols there as well, but the leading 5 cars making a bit of a break. Mick Nichols has the 46 machine up the inside of him. That's Matthew Smith coming through from 13th on the grid. But as they make their way down towards the end of the Hangar Straight into Stowe Corner, there is Tim Herron, the blue number 5 car, just about hanging on to position ahead of Jim Davis there, and just behind the yellow and grey car of Paul Cook. Leaders side by side though, and here comes Ben Rowe with the first real challenge to try and find a way ahead of Sean Trainer. He can't do it around the outside of Vale, but he's looking to try and set himself up for a better exit through the middle part of Club, which he gets up the inside line. Both drivers squirreling around trying to find some grip, but it will be Ben Rowe that gets the lead out of Club Corner and will lead them across the line at the end of the opening lap. Sean Trainer second, third position. We're on board with him now, the 89 car of Stuart Nichols. Both Stuart and Mick Nichols qualifying inside the top 10 for this race, as they work their way back through Abbey again. Remember, 13 minutes plus 1 lap, the length of all of the Toyota MR2 races this season. With Paul Cook as the leaders once again go at it, and Sean Trainer tries to come straight back up the inside of Ben Rowe at Village. Where's the grip going to be? Surely with Rowe on the outside line, which it is, as they come out of the corner. It is Ben Rowe that holds on to the race lead, on board with Stuart Nichols, who's in the newer car, the Class C car, trying to go with them and achieving that at the moment. Sideways in the background there, cars getting out of shape left, right and centre. Paul Cook is way wide over the curb, coming out of the link. That is not a place where you often see drivers running quite that wide off the circuit. At the front though, look at Stuart Nichols. He is starting now to apply the pressure to Sean Trainer, and this in turn will allow Ben Rowe potentially to escape. And if wins this race, further extend his championship lead. There is Stuart Nichols in the 3rd position. Stuart Nichols hasn't been at the sharp end in every race this year. He's up there and he's got a chance to fight for the victory. He will go for it, and you can see him there gesticulating at the car in front. Now, whether or not Sean Trainer saw that, I'm not too sure, but what he's saying there is, I'm not going to attack you, you don't need to defend. For the time being, let's work together, see if we can both go after Ben Rowe. If we keep tripping over each other, Ben's going to escape, and well, if the message gets through to Sean Trainer, Sean will know that he doesn't have to defend, and then he in turn can just try and go as quickly as he can. But he's had a really good exit from Club Corner, ironically the part of the circuit where he lost the lead a lap ago, and so as we come through to complete the 2nd lap of the race, it is Rowe from Trainer by a car's length, if that. And in fact, they're getting away again now from Stuart Nichols in 3rd position slightly. The Class C car having slightly different areas where it's strong compared to the Class B cars around it, which are a little bit heavier, maybe have a bit more stability in these conditions. Back down towards Village, Sean Trainer sticking with Ben Rowe here. The slippery conditions certainly not diluting the quality of the racing that we're always provided by the Gala Performance Toyota MR2 Championship. And Trainer goes up the inside down at the bottom of the hill. That's a really, really brave move, but Rowe is going to have the grippier side of road on the exit, and this could really play into the hands of the chasing Stuart Nichols, who gets in the tow. Trainer immediately moves over to defend, but this time I think Stuart Nichols might go for it because he's got enough momentum to get fully alongside, and in theory he should have the grippier line in towards Stowe. Let's see how this one plays out. Nichols on the outside, Trainer on the inside line, and Nichols is going to try the high, wide and handsome sweep through Stowe to get the inside line down towards Vale, but Sean Trainer's leaving him absolutely no room on the exit of the corner. They both run out over the curb, and Trainer hangs on to the position, but look at what 1 corner's worth of defensive driving does for the lead there for Ben Rowe, because Sean Trainer now has to try and really work hard to close back in, and Stuart Nichols working even harder to stay with them. Someone battling here going on a bit further down the order, and a few drivers, Chris Thomas in particular, the blue, white, fluorescent yellow car at the back of this group that you would maybe expect to see a bit further up the order. The Rogue car is Sam Harper, number 18, just in front of him, and then Pete Seeley, I think that was in front of them. Lead us through. Rowe from Trainer, from Nichols, the top 3. 4th position then is Paul Cook, so Paul Cook's got himself up ahead of quite a few drivers actually. Darren Aldworth starting to drop down the order slightly in the blue car that qualified 4th. And Stuart Nichols gets very out of shape, and he's off the road. Stuart Nichols is off, coming through the left-hander at Village. He's going to lose the car, is he? Does a great job to save it. Can he stop for Village? Yes, he can, and miraculously only loses 1 position. He might lose another one now, maybe to Darren Aldworth. No, he holds onto that place as well, so Aldworth stays in 5th. Stuart Nichols drops down to 4th. That was nearly an awful lot worse for him there. He's handed that 3rd place over to the charging Paul Cook, though, who only qualified 9th in qualifying earlier on this morning, but he's really racing well. He's up into the 3rd place now. Nichols down to 4th. 5th place is Aldworth. 6th is Josh Brooks. And then battle still on for 7th behind them. And we've got one of the drivers to really watch out for there, definitely Tim Heron, the blue machine. Onto the brakes they go again, and they're diving on the inside line. Jim Davis goes past Josh Brooks, so he gains what I think is 6th position now, up through Stowe. Of course, that moment for Stuart Nichols has really taken the pressure off. Sean Trainer goes to the inside and gets into the side, in fact, of the race leader, Ben Rowe. That wasn't in the script, and that's not the way that Sean Trainer or Ben Rowe tend to race, so that was purely because of the lower levels of adhesion through that corner in these conditions, and there was just a little bit of pain Trainer, but no real damage done, and Trainer drops back in line behind. They'll both live to fight another day, and Trainer will look to try and find a way through at another position on the track. He tries, in fact, at the very next corner, gets underneath the race leader. That's a tricky place to overtake, let alone in the wet, and Sean Trainer, frustrated, still can't get through. He's back alongside, though, as they head through Village, or into Village, I should say, to the braking zone at Village, through the left-hander at Farm, and Ben Rowe's really late on the brakes. He's too late this time, surely, and Trainer gets the switch back and goes back through. Great racing between the two of them, and that was just the pressure being applied by Sean Trainer, 4 times a race winner this year, and it tells there, although of course Ben Rowe has also won 4 races this year, and they both have achieved double race victories, with Ben Rowe taking 2 race victories from 2 at Brands Hatch, and Trainer doing it at both Rockingham and Cadwell Park. So they are by far the winningest drivers. We've had 5 different winners this year, though. I mentioned earlier on that Tim Heron had won a race, so too has Paul Cook, and we've also had a victory for Chris Thomas back at Brands Hatch. He won the opening race of the season, in fact, back on the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. So 5 different winners. The chances of getting a 6th in this one are slim at the moment, because the top 3 drivers in this race have all won races so far this year, and it is the top 2 in the championship doing battle at the front of the field. Remember that Ben Rowe has a 36-point advantage over the man that we're looking at in front of us now, Sean Trainer. So Sean Trainer has some work to do and has some ground to make up in the points. But of course, drop scores are not yet coming into account. They count their 12 best finishes for the year, so we don't really start looking at drop scores until we reach round 12, which will be next time out. And so there is still lots that can change in the 2018 Championship. It looks certain to go down to the wire there between these two. And actually, Chris Thomas and Tim Herron are not a million miles back, nor is Graham Maylings, although Graham Maylings is not here this weekend. He's actually third in the Championship and is likely to lose some ground over the course of the 2 races today. Sean Trainer again having to defend, but you can see that he goes in on a defensive line. You'd expect him to wash out wide on the exit of the corner, but he really slows down the apex speed, then immediately moves over to the inside line to defend down the hanger straight. And so Ben Rowe knows he's not going to get on the inside of the next corner. And we've not really seen that grippier outside line prevail quite as much as I thought it might have done. They're side by side for third place in the background though, and I think that that's Jim Davis, who is on an absolute mission to try and work his way through from 10th on the grid. And I think he's about to take third place away from Paul Cook. Let's see. Yes, Cook has definitely lost the position. The leaders, though, are side by side again, and this time Ben Rowe's got himself to the outside down towards Vale. And the outside at Vale becomes the inside for Club, but it's a brave man who tries to go around the outside of a former champion at that corner. And indeed, Sean Trainer holds on, but then gets very sideways at the apex of Club, immediately cuts over to the inside. So this is an ultra-defensive drive, this, from Sean Trainer. It's definitely holding them both up, though, and it could allow the cars behind to start closing in. Trainer again moves over to the inside of the road across the start-finish line. To the outside goes Ben Rowe. Watch for the exit speed here. That's what's really important. Rowe might even try and go right around the outside, but Trainer's always going to chop across his nose on the exit. He runs right out to the edge of the road, as he's entitled to do. It is the right of the car being challenged to stick to the racing line. Whether or not that means there's a car already alongside them. And Ben Rowe has to back out so as to avoid contact at the fastest corner on this Silverstone International circuit that is very popular amongst the drivers because it does produce great racing. You've got long straights for slipstreaming, but then there are lots of corners where you can also try and force a mistake out of the car in front or just try and work and overtake out yourself. And it does produce this really, really good racing every time. As we've seen over the previous 10 years of the Gala Performance Toyota MR2 Championship, this is a series that always produces good racing regardless of the circuit, regardless of the conditions, and they're living up to their reputation well and truly here this weekend. Enro again takes the wide line in towards Stowe and gets much better exit speed again. There's a bit of a clatter between the two of them, a bit of paint traded between the top two in the championship, again completely unintentional, but that time it seemed to have affected Sean Trainer a bit more, but he's late enough on the brakes into Vale to get into the corner first. Now who comes out of this complex first? That's the next question. Ben Rowe's trying to size him up for the switchback manoeuvre again. He just can't get on the power early enough though, because it's really very greasy and slippery out there. Now these are the conditions that the drivers really don't enjoy that much. They are definitely being caught though by the people behind now. Jim Davis and Paul Cook most definitely closing in on the leading two. So it's now a four-way train for the race lead with what, about 5 minutes left of the race or so. On board with the fourth place man, Paul Cook, as he tries just to stay in touch with them. I think the more they keep tripping over each other, the more likely it is that Paul Cook will be able to join in this battle. He's within touching distance almost. He's got a grandstand view of what's going on in front of him. Where do you pick your way past that lot? Well, actually, maybe Jim Davis is the right person to be following because he has really been opening the doors left, right and centre in this race, hasn't he? He's picked his way through, as I said, from 10th on the grid. Had a decent start, but he didn't make all of that ground on the first lap. He's done a lot of overtaking since then, including getting past the driver we're on board with now, the Mallory Park race winner, Paul Cook, fanning out 3 abreast now down towards Stowe Corner with Jim Davis looking to the outside there. Couldn't quite get alongside the two leaders, but Ben Rowe gets very sideways indeed, and Davis almost saw the chance to nip up the inside. And now, of course, for Ben Rowe, he's in this really difficult position of trying to attack and defend at the same time, and he's not going to be able to apply quite the same level of pressure to Sean Trainer as he has been. So this might actually work out in the favour of the race leader, but he's all over the place again through Vale, really struggling for rear end grip. And this time, I thought Ben Rowe might have got up the inside line. It's going to be the third place man, though, who is going to be fired out of Club Corner like a bullet out of a gun. He's going to carry so much speed onto the pit straight that he'll have a great run surely down towards Abbey Corner, which he does. He thinks about going to the inside line, does Jim Davis, then goes back to the outside. Ben Rowe covers the middle ground. There's almost contact again between himself and Sean Trainer, who is sideways. Paul Cook is now well and truly part of this as well. 4 cars for the race leads, slipping and skating their way up through Farm and in towards the braking zone at Village. Cook up the inside, going for third place now. Almost loses the rear of the car. He goes straight on. Oh no! Paul Cook into the side of Jim Davis, and around he goes. Davis has to take to the runoff area to avoid even further contact, and they were both rejoined, having lost quite a bit of ground, particularly Paul Cook. We saw that when he got onto the brake pad, he will actually get on track in front of Davis, who possibly, I fear, has some damage, or maybe is just waiting for a gap in the traffic to rejoin. But we saw that we were riding on board with Paul Cook. As he first hit the brakes and tried to change down the gears, he locked the rear brakes up, and that snapped the car sideways. He had to get off the brakes to save it, and that meant that he couldn't make the corner. But unfortunately, he'd already committed to the overtake. Davis was already there on the left-hand side, and contact was inevitable. Speaking of contact, oh, there's more between the leaders. Oh, and they're off. Ben Rowe and Sean Traynor, the top two in the race, the top two in the championship. They're both off the road, and miraculously, Sean Traynor gets going again. That's about the fourth or fifth time these two have made contact in this race, and it's Traynor who comes off the better marginally. But is there damage to that car? Ben Rowe is still, as far as I'm aware, pointing the wrong way, and this could be disastrous for Ben Rowe's championship lead. All of a sudden, that 36-point cushion starts to look an awful lot less secure, and look at the timing of it as well, because we go on to the final lap of the race with Sean Traynor now in front. Where is Ben Rowe? I can't see him in the lead, half a dozen or so. So Traynor could be about to take some big points out of his championship rival. The car looked like it was squirming around through Vale and Club, but then it has been all race long, really. I'm not convinced that's damage. I think that's just the fact that the car is really struggling with the conditions, as all of them are, in fairness. But Sean Traynor looks as though, as long as he can bring this home now as a race winner, he's going to take a 5th win of the year and really do some damage to Ben Rowe's championship lead. Well, Rowe was trying that outside, in theory, grippier line at Stowe, but as they came off the corner, he ended up running over the curbs, which are like ice in the wet. He spun the car, and unfortunately, well, in the end, very fortunate Sean Traynor was collected, but that he could have been a very unfortunate Sean Traynor if he'd have sustained serious damage there. Down towards Stowe they come for the final time then, and the battle-scarred number 27 car of Sean Traynor, the former champion, looks as though he's going to get one step closer to the championship lead in the 2018 season as well, in a dramatic first race of the weekend for the Gala Performance Toyota MR2 Championship. Sean Traynor drops down towards Vale and Club for the last time of asking. These have been his bogey corners to an extent over the course of the race, but he withstood the pressure. He survived the late contact with Ben Rowe, and he is going to come out of Club Corner and to the checkered flag, a race winner for the 5th time this season. Race victory goes to Sean Traynor. Stuart Nichols, will come home in 2nd position. 3rd place will go to Darren Aldworth, who really picked his way nicely back up the order in that one. Josh Brooks will be 4th and Paul Cook 5th, but it's Traynor that takes the victory. Now, where is Ben Rowe? 11th, we've got Ben Rowe at the line, so that's really not done his championship hopes any good at all. Traynor wins from Nichols, Aldworth, Brooks and Cook, with Matthew Smith 6th, Tim Herron 7th, ahead of Will Powell, Mick Nichols 9th, and Jim Davis, who dropped down into 10th place after that contact with Cook. There is Ben Rowe in 11th, ahead of winner Chris Thomas from earlier on in the year. Peter Higton, Pete Seeley and Jonathan Grimes round out the top 15. Sean Traynor also took the fastest lap in that race, so in theory it was a perfect race. He started on pole, he won, and he set the fastest lap, but that was nowhere near as easy as that makes it sound. That was a very dramatic race. It was even more dramatic though for Paul Lorry and Neil Stratton, who are the only 2 drivers who failed to make the finish.
I spoke to you before the race. You wanted the win. It wasn't that easy, though, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was far from easy. I just didn't have the pace in a straight line. So I was defending every time we got on a straight. I was defending from Ben, and I was sort of probably making it the widest MR2 I could. And that went on until I think just before the final lap, when I think from what Ben just said, he got his rear wheel onto one of the curbs and his flick round, and then next thing we know, we're both facing the wrong way. Luckily, I spun around the right, back into the right direction and didn't lose any places, but yeah, it was quite hairy.
The torrential rain just before that race as well, did that make much difference?
Yeah, I don't know if it made this. I mean, it was very slippy for me. I don't know if it was just I had the wrong pressures or what, or everyone else had the same issues, but I just didn't seem to be able to carry the speed through the corners. You know, we tested it Friday and it didn't seem that slippy, so maybe I need to have a closer look at the setup.
And it's the 10-year anniversary for the MR2 Championship, so to come away with a win, you've got to be happy, you've got to be proud.
Oh yeah, I'm proper happy, yeah. I need every point I can get at the moment. I'm looking at how quick the lads were behind us. I don't think we'll be starting from pole the next time. I think there's some faster cars out there, so I'll have to see where I've ended up.
Well, Stuart, 2nd on the road, but more importantly, class winner. Well done.
Thank you very much. And I've just come back for this one race this season. It's the 10th anniversary of the MR2 Championship, and I've raced in it for about 8 of those years, and I thought I'd come out of retirement and have one little go, and yeah, just to see if I've still got it, and I've still got it in the rain. I can do it if people fall off in front of me.
So you've seen the championship evolve. What's it like being back in it?
Actually, you know what? It's amazing. I mean, I got asked earlier about the memories of the championship. I've made so many great memories here, and to kind of come straight back into it and play with all the guys again, it's great fun. And to be at the sharp end as well makes a huge difference. It's what I wanted to sort of see if I could still do it, play with the big boys, and it was really good fun. I just played the waiting game, to be honest. I'm not going to get involved in any sort of championship shenanigans, so I just wanted to watch the guys go at it, and it just sort of fell into my place.
Well, race 2 coming up, that could be a wet one. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I've no idea where I've qualified for that one at all. I think I'm going to be a bit further back, but if it's wet, it's anyone's game, really.
Well, for now, go and enjoy it. Well done.
Cheers, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Darren, firstly, congratulations on the podium. A lot of frantic scrapping in front of you, sort of handed you the podium, but you've got to be in it to win it.
It was indeed, yeah. I started in 4th, got into 3rd, then the boys came past me. It was, all the way around. It felt like it was on an ice rink. And then I was sort of back into 6th, sat there quite comfortably, but then, there was a few slides and the boys were really pushing ahead. I could see them ahead, and then the next thing lucky for me, unlucky for them, they end up sliding, and I managed to sneak through all the debris. So, yeah, chuffed with another 3rd.
What can we expect from race 2?
God knows. Like the boy said, I have no idea. So, yeah, enjoy it. That's the main thing. And try and come out without bits and pieces.
Adam, Class A winner. Considering what a frantic race that was, you've got to be pleased just to come out of it on top.
Oh, really pleased, yeah, because at the start I got dropped by just about everybody. All the other Mark 1s came past. I think I was down to 4th by about the 3rd corner. So sort of fought my way back through them again. Luckily enough, the rain started coming down a little bit heavier, which helps me a little bit. So yeah, managed to tag on the back of some roadsters and just pulled me forward from there, really. So yeah, really pleased with that.
And can we expect the same in race 2?
Hopefully a better start in race 2, and yeah, sort of further up the grid maybe. We'll see.